Hey everybody, welcome back for Game 2 of sAviOr versus Wings of Liberty. I am Anaris. It is Tuesday, October 26, 2010, and we are playing on Xel'Naga Caverns. Like I said, this is game number 2 of a match series between these two, and the first game, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't want to if you haven't watched the first game yet, go watch it, pause this right now, and then come back and watch it later because I'm going to go over what happened in the first game. So first game was on Metalopolis. Zerg went for a fast expansion with Zergling speed, actually opting to get the extractor first, spawning pool second, got the speed really quick. That helped him defend against our early Reaper push. However, the Reapers were eventually staved off by the Zerglings and the Queen, secured the natural, and the Terran tried to put pressure on with an attack with a force of about 15-20 Marines, a bunch of Marauders, and a bunch of SCVs that he pulled off of his natural mineral line. That attack was actually dwindled down by a combination of Zerglings and Banelings and a little bit of drone intervention there too. And sAviOr actually ended up winning with some really great usage of Banelings. Scored a huge hit a couple times against big groups of Marines. The Terran player unfortunately went a very reactor-heavy build with his somewhat fast expansion. Not really fast, but whatever. So we're looking here, and we might see an expansion go down here. I don't think we have a spawning pool yet. No, we do not. So sAviOr is opting for a expansion before pool at around 15 supply, and the Terran player does have his barracks up at the top of the ramp. And so yeah, I think we're going to probably see a wall off here in the very near future as the Terran player heads out to scout out the Zerg player's base. Overlord coming up here, probably just going to hang around back here, so keep an eye on whether or not the Terran player expands to his natural again. sAviOr's expansion is about a third of the way complete, and we do have a spawning pool now. No gas just yet, though. Kind of interested to see what build this is going to turn into, as I haven't seen too many of sAviOr's games in Starcraft 2. I know I'm a terrible person, but trying to remedy that, and this is how we're going to do it. Just sitting here watching him play, as an orbital command is just about complete for Wings of Liberty, and gas does go down for sAviOr as he is scouted out by the SCV, who is being chased off by the drone. I don't think actually sAviOr has seen anything of the Terran base. No, he has not. Let's actually look at what the Terran player has seen. Yep, it looks like he just saw the expansion going down, which is almost complete, about 90% of the way there. This map is actually really fun. I like seeing how fights evolve on this map, and I'm really looking forward to see how these players react to each other, because we might see another fast expansion here. We have an SCV going out, not sure what he's going to do. He is heading towards the natural, so we can expect to see a command center there fairly soon, as we do come up on 400 minerals. Sure enough, there it goes. Let's actually look at the income. And actually take note, before we look at the income, there is a Reaper on the way for the Terran player. So we can expect to see a little bit of Reaper harassment here. He does not have the concussive shells upgrade for his Marauders, which we can expect to see in the near future, though. Not too surprising, though. Alright, so anyways, income. Zerg player sitting a little bit lower than Terran. Well, it was for a second there. Nope, Zerg has actually just shot up, and now they're even again. So the money is all over the map. It's crazy. Mule is just finishing up here, so another one going down. Pretty standard so far. A little bit of harassment by the Reaper. Nothing really too exciting, though, you know? Got a creep tumor going down. So that'll help the Queen with the creep expanding out just a little bit, but I doubt this Reaper will be around by the time all this creep is out. So yeah, it's pretty much both players just kind of macroing up in their bases a little bit as the game crosses just past the 5-minute mark. So like I said, if you haven't watched the first game, definitely go and check that out. It was really entertaining to watch the great use of Banelings by sAviOr. So we have two Reapers now coming over here, definitely taking out that Zergling very easily, trying to kill this Queen. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to, though, because there are probably more Zerglings on the way. You can see there are 4 more on the way right now, none that have already been built. So looking like the Reapers are actually just going to kind of play really defensively. Might be able to get that creep tumor. Yes, they do. They get the creep tumor just before it finishes building. Great idea there. Definitely going to be making sAviOr a little bit upset, as he has another Marauder, or a Marauder, come to the field now. Still doesn't have... Oh, sure enough, as soon as I say it, concussive shells are now there. That'll help out a little bit with the Queen kiting that and whatnot. However, these Zerglings came in, and they just said no to Reaper harassment, as they now chase back the Marauder, who is heading back to the base. However, I seriously doubt he will live, as both these Zerglings are fairly at hit points. Will he live? No. definitely not. Alright, so checking out the Terran base. Expansion is complete. Let's look at the worker count real quick. You can see sAviOr is still sitting definitely pretty good on the drone count, and the economy, or the income, is still pretty equal though because of the mules. You can see that there is a bunker here. Terran player playing a little bit more defensively than he did the last game, so I'm actually not too surprised to see that Zergling and Baneling punch near the end really hurt the Terran player. And he is continuing to build more and more infantry units. He is, again, opting for the 2-reactor, 1-tech-lab build, which I do not believe the Zerg has been able to scout that just yet. But we'll have to see what happens, as there are, again, some Zerglings getting ready to come in here. Doesn't know too much about what's going on. Trying to get in here, get some free kills, but I really don't think that's going to happen, as the Terran player, like I said, he is kind of playing a little bit more reactively at this point, which is probably a good idea, considering he kind of overextended himself just a little bit last game. So sAviOr is continuing to macro up in his base. We do have a Baneling nest again on the way, as well as a Spire. That's a little bit different from last game as well. Although I think probably if sAviOr knew that the last game was going to go on for longer, we probably would have seen this happen again as well. So not too surprising there, as the rocks are still here for sAviOr's second expansion. Probably see those cleared out just a little bit, as there is some Overlords hanging out here, spewing out the creep, doing what Overlords do. And we're going to see, it looks like a little bit of a wall of his Terran player is just going to continue to play really defensively. I think he's really going to try to get a really, I say really a lot, a sizable force here. He is going for siege tanks. No siege tech being researched just yet, but stim pack is on the way, just about complete. Continuing to bring out more marauders, and just generally trying to build up his natural expansion to be a really easily defendable position. I think I heard some Banelings. Did I hear some Banelings? Oh god, I hope I did. Yes, Banelings again! Oh, sAviOr, I already love you. You know just how to play and make me squee IRL. Okay, that sounded totally creepy. I promise I don't do that, but I'm kind of looking forward to see how he handles the mutas. I would imagine we're going to see some really good harassment here as the Terran player continues to build up. Now he has 2 engineering bays completing this wall. I'll tell you what, man, if this isn't a Terran wall off, I don't know what is, as he is just trying to play as defensive as possible, man. I don't know if he's scared or what, but these mutas, they're like, what walls? We don't care about walls. So they're going to come over here and might see him try to go for the mineral line, as that is fairly undefended. Do have a starport here hanging out though, so might see some Vikings, maybe just some medevacs, since there are a ton of infantry, most likely medevacs. But you never know, there might be a switch as a missile turret goes down. A little bit of preemptive action there by the Terran player, as the missile turret surely dies. That's not really too surprising there, as there are a boatload of mutas. Marines stemming up, trying to chase off the mutas. I think probably the mutas could have gotten a couple of those Marines, but most likely just, not really worth it, because there was a whole bunch of them following that little pack right there. So I think the Zerg player is going to just kind of continue harassing with the Mutalisk, trying to get some free kills. Almost took out that SCV, sitting at 9 out of 45 hit point. It's pretty good stuff there. Taking a look at the upgrades real quick. Don't have anything just yet. I don't believe, actually, don't have anything on the way. I could just look at the production tab for that, but whatever. I like looking around. Gives you guys a view of the base. And the Terran player is continuing to push out these siege tanks, which is kind of funny, but also a pretty good idea for absorbing some of those Baneling hits, as a siege tank can take quite a few of those. And we do have a spine crawler coming up here. Might see the Zerg player take out his take his high yield position. And here comes some Mutalists trying to take out these depots. One of them is definitely going to go down. Well, no, maybe a couple more shots there, and that would have taken it out for sure. It might even just burn. I don't know. However, the Mutas are going to retreat. Terran player moving out now. He does have 1 medevac, couple siege tanks, and a boatload of Marines, so we'll have to see what happens as he does move towards the creep. Might actually be trying to go down to this expansion where there is an SCV who has scouted it out. Little does he know the pain that is about to be brought down on him, as these Zerglings kill the siege tank. Banelings come in and just wreck the Terrans. Are these Marines going to die to the Banelings? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so. He's going to kite. Oh! Oh, there go a whole bunch of them. Oh, that was a thing of beauty right there. So that attack definitely did not work. And not only that, but the Zerg player is actually in a great position to counterattack, because if you take a look at the units now, Terran player, he does have some Marines, but they are kind of spread out. So the Zerg could definitely take advantage of that by hitting the places where there are no turrets. This place being one of them, gonna drop down in supply. Unfortunately for the Terran player, or fortunately for the Terran player, he has way more supply than he needs at this point in time. So it didn't really affect him too terribly much. But I think that I think those mutas were just angry and wanted some revenge, man. Meanwhile, we do have a dropship headed down here. This will be interesting, as we do have a Zerg attack coming on the way at the natural expansion. Drop is going to be coming down back in the mineral line. It looks like the mutas are trying to harass the Terran player, keep him busy, but the drop does go down in the mineral line, and sAviOr does start to lose drones. Meanwhile, he does push up here with his banelings, trying to get some free kills. Indeed, he is actually doing a pretty good job of that as the banelings roll through the base, trying to chase the Marines. Again, we'll have to see what happens as this player is actually... Well, no, most of his drones got out, so that's a pretty good thing right there. I don't think this attack's going to do too terribly much damage, but he is losing the spawning pool. We'll have to see what happens, whether he is able to kill that. I think he might be able to. Yes! Oh man, the Terran player takes out the spawning pool for the Zerg, so he will not be able to make Zerglings in the immediate future. He will have to rebuild that very quickly. And I'll tell you what, this dropship does not have a hope in hell of getting out, but that's okay, because the Zerg player has more than enough Zerglings right now to do another counterattack. The Zerg is sitting in a very good position. You can see he is running off of 3 bases right now, soon to be a 4th with a high yield. So very exciting stuff there. You can see the income now. It's funny, both players are actually still sitting kind of neck and neck, fluctuating a little bit there, but harvester count, again, pretty similar. And looking at the units there, you can see what each player has in terms of the army composition. Taking a look at the units lost, you can see that definitely sAviOr has lost a ton of Zerglings, but that's okay, because they have been quite amusing battles up to this point, as his sAviOr continues to knock out the tanks and try to do some harassment on the Terran player. So pretty good stuff there. And we can see now that going to have a little bit more variety, possibly, in the Zerg army. Let's take a look at the base here and see what we got. We got an infestation pit, and don't have a hive just yet. So might have to see what happens here as we do move close to the 20-minute mark in the game. There goes the spawning pool. Oh, poor sAviOr. Poor guy lost the spawning pool. No Zerg should have to go through that, as he does come in with more Mutalisks trying to knock out these Marines. Going to get some free kills definitely on that. Terran player trying to throw down an expansion. Not sure how that's going to work, as actually the Marines are able to fend off the Mutalisk attack, forcing sAviOr to retreat while the Terran player continues to kill these destructible rocks. Unfortunately for the Terran player, when it looks like he is dealing with this right now, but the Zerg has extended his creep almost all the way up to the Terran base, which will definitely help him, with any counterattacks that he wants to do, maximize or minimizing the time it takes to get to the base. You can see there are a ton of banelings here, and we do have some infestors on the way. Those are actually some of my favorite units in Starcraft 2. Or one of my favorite units, rather. Just fungal growth, oh man, fungal growth, banelings, Psystorm, and... You're going to call me a noob, but I like battlecruisers too. I love the way they have like 18 gazillion little ray guns on them. But these mutas are going to run away from the Terran army, as it is well equipped to handle any sort of muta harassment there. Of course, sAviOr has gotten the 1 weapons upgrade, and looking at the Terran, he has actually got 1 Marines, and don't think he has anything with siege tanks. Nope, sure enough, he does not. So more turrets are going down. Again, the Terran player is having to play really defensively. You can see by the fact that he is getting a planetary fortress at the high yield, which is actually a very good idea, as a giant ball of Zerg heads out towards the eastern Xel'Naga watchtower. We'll be able to definitely see some action here in the very near future. Here it comes. Zerg going in with the banelings, headed right towards the siege tanks, knocking those out. Fungal growth on more units. I don't think we're going to see these Marines die. No, actually there's a fungal growth there, but there's not enough banelings to actually come in and mop up the forces. So no, I wouldn't call that a failed attack, but that was definitely entertaining to watch. The nice thing about this, though, is because sAviOr has expanded so much, he's going to be able at this point to just throw units at the Terran player and just wear him down in sheer numbers, which is so awesome. I love how Zerg handle. I mean, if nothing else, you saw that in StarCraft 1. not exactly with the best players, but when you're playing Zerg in StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, if you get to the point where you can just overwhelm us by throwing units at at your opponent, it's really fun. I don't know, it just gives me a sense of satisfaction. Like it gets that it gives the other player that feeling of desperation. Like no matter what they can do, there's just no way they can handle that many units. So he looks like the Zerg player is going to actually be going behind the Terran forces, heading right into the natural, or maybe down here. I don't know. The Terran does know it's coming though, as the Banelings do actually take the southern way and the Zerglings take the northern. That's probably a very good idea because the Terran player was not going to be able to encounter those Banelings. The Banelings did go off, though, hitting the command center, knocking it down to about half hit points. Probably not the best use of them, but, you know, whatever. It's okay because the Terran does drive off the Zerg, who does have still a good chunk of his mutas there. And he is sitting at 150 supply right now because he's just making so many units, more Zerglings, more Banelings, and a hive is on the way. So we might see some Ultras, maybe some Broodlords, I do not know. But here comes Zerg, maybe for another attack against the bulk of the Terran forces. Oh, great fungal growth placement there as the Banelings just mop right through the Marine. Oh man, that was just beautiful as the mutas mop up a little bit more with the siege tanks. Heading up here to the expansion, gonna take out the turrets maybe, but the SCVs respond really quickly and repair the turret. Pretty good reaction time there as Zerg prepares more Zerglings, more Banelings, and gets his mutas ready for another assault. Taking a look at the income once more, you can see that Zerg is definitely showing his advantage now with the additional high yield expansion there on full swing. Here comes the Zerg again trying to take out this expansion. He might get it this time because the turret placement is preventing more than 3 SCVs from repairing, a bunch of them just sitting around here. Although the mutas are actually focusing instead on the turrets, I don't think he's going to be able to take that turret down. Of course, the Terran player with the orbital command, the planetary fortress and the Marauders able to take out those Zerglings. So once again, another failed attack there, but sAviOr is really keeping the pressure on. He's even actually thrown down a bunch of spine crawlers over at the eastern portion, or the northern portion of his high-yield expansion, securing that, as we are seeing some Corruptors now. Oh boy, I think we're going to see some Broodlords, which would be fantastic against the Marines and the siege tanks, especially combined with the Banelings and the fungal growth and everything of that nature. So very excited to see what sAviOr has in store for us in the next couple minutes as more Zerglings are turned into Banelings and more Corruptors on the way. Meanwhile, the Greater Spire is complete, so we'll see what happens here as we do indeed have Broodlords on the way. I'll tell you what, man, sAviOr has really explored the Zerg tech tree in this game. Don't think he's gotten any Ultras yet. Probably not going to see that because the Terran player will most likely be able to handle that pretty quickly and be a pretty big tech switch, but it's great to see so many Zerg units used in one game, and it's great. So anyways, there is a drop here taking out this expansion, but as you can see, I don't think it's really going to go too well. Probably best just to load that up and head off, as he is doing right now, and this one little champ Baneling is coming up here trying to see what he can do, but unfortunately for him, the attack is already gone. I'm surprised this Overlord's still in here, man. I mean, I guess the Marines just wouldn't be able to shoot at it, but here comes another attack from sAviOr. Oh man, this is going to be great. Banelings, Infestors, and the Broodlords, who are just wasting away at the turrets now, causing the siege tanks to fire off some shots, now retreat. However, the Zerglings are going to be more than enough to take out the siege tanks. As look at all those mind-controlled siege tanks. Oh my god, that's great. The Broodlord's knocking it out. Oh man, sAviOr made a fantastic play there, as he is now just focus firing down the tanks while mind-controlled with the mutalisks. Oh, that was a brilliant play right there. I absolutely loved watching that. That was fantastic. As the Terran player tries to repair the orbital command as much as possible, but there is only so much you can do with a planetary fortress against the Broodlords. And now here come the infested Terrans, getting right up on the siege tank, knocking out the Marines at the top of the ramp. Wasn't able to take that out. However, there is a Thor here. I think it's going to be too little too late, as the buildings are burning, the bunkers are empty, and the Terran is slowly being wiped out by the onslaught of the Zerg forces. You can see there's just a relentless onslaught here from the Zerg player. More Zerglings on the way. More mutas and more everything just coming on here and mopping up the Terran base. This expansion will not live for very long. I don't even really think that the Terran player has a hope of winning at this point. I don't know. It will take a miracle to bring him back from this position, especially considering the Broodlords and how heavily invested the Terran player is into the Marines and the siege tanks and whatnot. He just doesn't have the anti-air capability. He's trying to make a Viking here, but it's just going to be way too little too late as the Marines retreat to the Viking, or the bunker rather, and the siege tank might go down here in the near future. It is very low hit points. Meanwhile, the Zerg player continues to knock through the Terran forces. There are 3 Corruptors here now, which will be more than enough to handle any air, and there is the GG. That was an absolutely fantastic game to watch, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that, and this is going to conclude today's Anaris cast, whatever episode thingy on my channel. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you liked it, and I will see you guys later.